The Alaskan village of Shishmaref, perched on an island just north of the Bering Strait, is facing a crisis. The ground beneath the homes of its 600 residents is literally disappearing. Rising sea levels and melting permafrost are eroding the island's shores at an alarming rate. The community inhabited for generations is now facing the prospect of relocation. Shishmaref's plight is a stark illustration of the unprecedented environmental transformations happening across the globe. From the melting glaciers of the Himalayas to the bleaching coral reefs of Australia, the Earth's systems are changing at a pace never before witnessed in human history. These changes, driven by human activity, are altering the very fabric of our planet, impacting everything from weather patterns to the distribution of life itself. Understanding these shifts is not just an academic exercise, it is crucial for our ability to adapt to a rapidly changing world. The consequences of inaction are dire. We are in the midst of a planetary crisis, and the time to act is now. The future of Shishmaref, and indeed the future of humanity, depends on our ability to comprehend and address these global environmental shifts. Environmental patterns, the recurring states and dynamics of Earth's systems, have historically exhibited a degree of stability. These patterns, encompassing everything from ocean currents to forest ecosystems, are the foundation upon which life on Earth has evolved and thrived. However, this stability is now under threat. Human activities, particularly the burning of fossil fuels, are releasing vast quantities of greenhouse gases into the atmosphere. These gases trap heat, leading to a phenomenon known as global warming. The consequences of this warming are profound and far-reaching. Established environmental patterns are shifting at an alarming rate, pushing ecosystems to their limits and threatening the delicate balance of life on Earth. Understanding these shifts is not simply about tracking changes in temperature. It is about recognizing the interconnectedness of Earth's systems and the cascading effects of our actions. The data is clear. We are living in an era of unprecedented environmental change. The baseline against which we measure the health of our planet is shifting, and the implications for humanity are profound. It is a stark reality that demands our urgent attention. The most well-known consequence of greenhouse gas emissions is the increase in global temperature. Since the late 19th century, Earth's average surface temperature has risen by approximately 1 degree Celsius or 1.8 degrees Fahrenheit. This may seem like a small change, but it has already had significant impacts on the planet. Heat waves are becoming more frequent and intense, leading to heat-related illnesses and deaths. Droughts are becoming more severe, impacting agriculture and water resources. Wildfires are raging with greater intensity and frequency, fueled by hotter, drier conditions. The rate of warming is particularly alarming. The past 4 decades have been successively warmer than any decade that preceded them since 1850. This rapid warming trend is unprecedented in human history and is projected to continue unless drastic action is taken to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. The consequences of inaction are dire, potentially leading to catastrophic changes in Earth's climate system. The science is clear. Human activity is the dominant cause of observed warming since the mid-20th century. We are witnessing the consequences of our actions in the form of extreme weather events, rising sea levels, and melting glaciers. It is imperative that we act now to mitigate further warming and adapt to the changes that are already underway. The polar regions, the Arctic and the Antarctic, are experiencing the most dramatic impacts of global warming. These regions are warming at more than twice the rate of the rest of the planet. This accelerated warming is causing glaciers and ice sheets to melt at alarming rates. The Greenland ice sheet, for example, is losing an average of 279 billion tons of ice per year. This melting ice contributes to rising sea levels, threatening coastal communities worldwide. The loss of ice also has profound implications for polar ecosystems. Polar bears, for example, rely on sea ice for hunting seals. As sea ice disappears, polar bears are facing starvation and population decline. The melting poles are a stark reminder of the interconnectedness of Earth's systems and the far-reaching consequences of a warming planet. The situation in the polar regions is a clear indication that climate change is not a distant threat. It is happening now and is already having significant impacts. The melting of glaciers and ice sheets is a stark visual representation of the urgency of addressing climate change. The fate of these iconic landscapes and the species that depend on them hangs in the balance. Section 5. Forests in flux. Forests, often referred to as the lungs of the planet, play a crucial role in regulating Earth's climate. They absorb carbon dioxide from the atmosphere through photosynthesis, storing it in their wood, leaves and roots. However, deforestation, primarily driven by agriculture and logging, is releasing this stored carbon back into the atmosphere, contributing to global warming. Furthermore, deforestation is disrupting the delicate balance of forest ecosystems, leading to biodiversity loss and increased vulnerability to pests and diseases. Climate change is also directly impacting forests. Rising temperatures and changes in precipitation patterns are causing tree species to migrate to higher altitudes and latitudes in search of suitable growing conditions. This migration can lead to competition for resources and changes in forest composition. In some cases, trees are unable to adapt quickly enough to changing conditions, leading to forest die-off. The world's forests are facing a dual threat from deforestation and climate change. Protecting and restoring forests is essential for mitigating climate change and preserving biodiversity. Sustainable forest management practices, reforestation efforts, and reducing our reliance on products that drive deforestation are crucial steps in the right direction. Section 6. Oceans in peril. The oceans, covering over 70% of Earth's surface, play a vital role in regulating the planet's climate. They absorb vast amounts of heat from the atmosphere and transport this heat around the globe through ocean currents. However, the oceans are absorbing increasing amounts of carbon dioxide from the atmosphere, leading to ocean acidification. This acidification is making it difficult for marine organisms like corals, oysters, and plankton to build their shells and skeletons. Warming ocean temperatures are also causing coral bleaching events where corals expel the symbiotic algae that live in their tissues, causing them to turn white and become more susceptible to disease. Coral reefs, often referred to as the rainforests of the sea, provide habitat for a diverse array of marine life. Their loss would have devastating consequences for marine ecosystems and the millions of people who depend on them for food and livelihoods. The oceans are facing a multitude of threats from climate change, pollution, and overfishing. Protecting these vital ecosystems is crucial for the health of our planet and the well-being of future generations. Reducing greenhouse gas emissions, combating plastic pollution, and promoting sustainable fishing practices are essential steps in the right direction. Section 7. Shifting rainfall, growing extremes. Climate change is disrupting precipitation patterns worldwide. Some regions are experiencing more frequent and intense rainfall, leading to flooding, landslides, and soil erosion. Other regions are experiencing more severe and prolonged droughts, leading to water shortages, crop failures, and wildfires. These changes in precipitation patterns are having significant impacts on agriculture, water resources, and human health. Extreme weather events such as hurricanes, heat waves, and floods are becoming more frequent and intense due to climate change. These events can cause widespread damage to infrastructure, disrupt livelihoods, and lead to loss of life. The increasing frequency and intensity of extreme weather events pose significant challenges for disaster preparedness and response efforts. The changing precipitation patterns and increasing frequency of extreme weather events are clear indicators of a changing climate. Adapting to these changes will require investments in infrastructure, early warning systems, and disaster risk reduction measures. Addressing the root cause of climate change by reducing greenhouse gas emissions is essential for mitigating the severity of these impacts in the future. Section 8. Biodiversity under threat. Climate change is having a profound impact on biodiversity, the variety of life on Earth. Many species are struggling to adapt to the rapid pace of change, leading to shifts in species ranges, population declines, and extinctions. Species that are unable to adapt quickly enough to changing conditions are at the greatest risk. This includes species with specialized habitat requirements, limited dispersal abilities, and small population sizes. Climate change is also exacerbating other threats to biodiversity, such as habitat loss, pollution, and invasive species. The combined effects of these threats are pushing many species towards the brink of extinction. The loss of biodiversity has far-reaching consequences for ecosystems and human well-being, as it disrupts ecological processes, reduces the resilience of ecosystems to change, and undermines the provision of ecosystem services. Protecting biodiversity in the face of climate change requires a multifaceted approach. This includes reducing greenhouse gas emissions, protecting and restoring habitats, managing invasive species, and reducing other threats to biodiversity. International cooperation, scientific research, and public awareness are essential for addressing this global challenge. Section 9. A call to action. The evidence is overwhelming. Our planet is undergoing unprecedented environmental transformations, driven largely by human activities. The consequences of these changes are far-reaching, impacting everything from the air we breathe to the water we drink to the food we eat. The time for complacency is over. We must act now to mitigate the worst effects of climate change and adapt to the changes that are already underway. Addressing this global challenge requires a collective effort from individuals, communities, businesses, and governments worldwide. We must transition away from fossil fuels and embrace renewable energy sources. We must protect and restore our forests, oceans, and other natural ecosystems. We must reduce our consumption, waste less, and embrace sustainable practices. The future of our planet and the well-being of generations to come depends on the choices we make today. The task ahead may seem daunting, but we must not lose hope. By working together, we can create a more sustainable and equitable future for all. Let us rise to the challenge and be the generation that turns the tide on climate change. The fate of our planet is in our hands.